So Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is a game that exists apparently, and if it seems like I'm being a bit too harsh in the game right now by not being that hyped for it, well, I apologise, but after Sonic Unleashed being recompiled, it's hard to really be hyped for this out of all things. And which is also why this video took so long to actually, come out, because it's been like over a week since the beta finished, and here I am finally making a video about it. Like, I'm sorry bro, Sonic Unleashed being recompiled, it's a big thing mate, you can't just ignore that, can you? But yeah, I had the opportunity to actually play the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds Beta 1, and of course I have a lot of thoughts about it, and from the title of this video, I have a lot of negative thoughts about it. Now if we isolate each of these problems I have with the game, they're not really that bad on their own, but because there are so many issues with the game, it starts to become death by 1,000 paper cuts. And that isn't to say that the game is bad, not in the slightest. I had a lot of fun playing the beta for this game, but even still, there are a whole lot of kinks that need to be worked out here. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over every single issue I have with this game and also the positives I have with this game too. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's discuss the topic at hand. So because it's a major part of the video, I'm going to start off with the negative aspects I have with this game, which starts us off with the trick system in the game. I have a lot of issues with it. For starters, you can't fail tricks. No matter which way your car lands after touching the ground while doing tricks, you won't spin out anything, which makes the game significantly more easy than the other car races. And this is especially bad because if we're also going to be putting extreme gear in this game later on, if you can't fail tricks with the extreme gear either, that just like takes a whole part of the fun of riders out of there. And I don't know why they even did this in the first place, because now all you do in the air is spamming that analog stick up and down, left and right and whatever, knowing that you'll never fail the trick, so you might as well just spam it just to get some boost if you can. And having tricks that can actually be failed would separate the good players from the crap players and make those crap players actually fall behind, because this game is actually very unbalanced with the items and whatnot, so we'll talk about that a bit later on though. And then another issue I have with the tricks in this game is when it comes to the flipping left and right. In Team Sonic Racing, when you flip your car left and right, your car actually physically moves in that direction. And that was such a good feature to have because it just gave you more control over your car in the air. But now in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, flipping your car does not move it in the direction at all. If you want to move anywhere whilst in the air, you just have to move the analog stick in that direction and wait for the car to slowly but surely move in the air. But then even doing that has a problem. For some reason, you can also do tricks with your left analog stick, which is also the one used to try to move in the air. Which means that if you just want to move in the air because obviously the flips don't go anywhere, you'll just start doing tricks by accident. Meaning that, yeah, you can't move in the air once again because you're too busy tricking. And this is very strange because even when switching to the Team Sonic Racing controls where flipping is supposed to be on the right stick, the left analog stick still makes you do tricks, so like, what's even the point? If they're not going to make the tricks on a different analog stick for Team Sonic Racing controls, even though that's supposed to be a given, then make flipping left and right make you actually go into that direction, because if not, then you just got no control in the air and it's not that great to play really. And then the final talking point about the trick system and technically flipping system in this game, in Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, when in the plane mode, you can flip left and right to actually, move in that direction. But surprise, surprise, in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, you can't do that. You're just stuck with that very clunky drift move. And not having the flip move in this game for the planes is very annoying because the boat and the plane in this game control like absolute arse. So just removing even more movement options with these vehicles, like, it's so stupid, man. But let's talk about the drifting in this game because it's a bit strange, because for starters, with the car, it feels very stiff. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you play Transformed and Team Sonic Racing a lot and try the drift out in that game, then you go to Racing CrossWorlds, you can just feel the difference. I think in TSR and Transformed, the drift feels a whole lot more loose, which I actually liked a lot, but then when you go to Racing CrossWorlds, it's a very stiff drift, you can barely get any movement with it. But then when it comes to drifting in all the other vehicle types, for starters, the boat, well, you can't drift in the boat. Why? Instead of drifting as the boat, you instead have to do a jump with the boat, and while I do like the feature that you can actually jump as the boat, I don't want it to be replacing the drift. Because obviously jumping as the boat puts you in the trick state, but bringing back the point from earlier, when doing the flips left and right in this game, it doesn't actually move you in that direction, so you're basically just left flailing for your life when you're jumping as the boat. So if you see a tight corner with the boat, well, you're just going to be hitting the side of the wall, and that's basically it. The only way to avoid this is if you come to a screeching halt when trying to turn. And then when it comes to drifting as the plane, I mean, just looking at the drifting as a plane, it even looks clunky. Why does the car move like that? It shouldn't be jittering around everywhere. That just looks really unpolished. Well, I do like how you can drift in any direction as the plane. It still is just really hard to control. And just in general, it just makes all the plane sections feel the worst out of them all. And which is why the Magma Planet is so bad, because most of it is in the air, and with those clunky controls, it's just not a fun crossworld to go through. And it's such a shame too because it's got very nice visuals and arguably some of the best music in the game. So for me to just avoid that CrossWorlds entirely because I don't like playing in it is just a real shame. So yeah, please just fix up those controls for the boat and the plane, like give the boat the drift and make those plane just control better in every single aspect, please. And now I have a little nitpick when it comes to the vehicle types in this game. In Team Sonic Racing, the speed, power and acceleration type, whatever it's called, all have a special ability in the game. The speed type can destroy all obstacles after doing a drift boost, the power type can smash through obstacles on the track without slowing down, and then the technique type can drive off-road. And with vehicles in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds actually having a type now, why did they remove these abilities? Having these abilities in Team Sonic Racing really spices up the game when choosing the different types of character. And it's even more confusing why it's not in Racing CrossWorlds because for whatever reason, you can't mix and match parts from like a speed type character, well car even, with like a power type car part and then like a handling car part. Like you can't do that, and I guess if they had the abilities in this game, like driving off-road or whatever, it would make sense, but they don't. So if they're not going to have the abilities in this game, why even make it so you can't combine different types of the car parts together? Allowing you to do that would open up the customization in this game so much more because like you have so many more possibilities of car now. Like here, I'll take those speed wheels, I'll take the body of that power car. That sounds a bit weird out of context actually, but moving on. I'll take the front end of that handling car and then the back side of that handling car. Okay, whatever. But you see my point here, essentially. But now going back to the cars not having abilities in this game, it's even more strange because on the third lap of every single track, a new pathway unlocks in there. Like for example in Water Palace, you have this area on the right here that you can't access in lap 1, but then when it comes to lap 3, it's suddenly opened up now, and I think instead of just opening up just on lap 3 for everyone, why not make it so on the first lap, only a character of a specific car type can actually go over there? Personally, I think that would spice up the game a whole lot more because you'd be like preparing for each single track that you get, like, oh, we're on, let's say, Water Palace for example, or I'll pick the acceleration type, then so I can go on this little shortcut at the start there. And it's not like the developers are kind of shying away from any strategy being in this game because the whole gadget system revolves around strategy, so why not increase that strategy even more by introducing ability types for these cars? Anyways, moving on to the next point, it's actually a pretty big one. When taking damage by an item in this game, you aren't able to use an item during that period of recovery. Like for example, in say Mario Kart or something, you get hit by like a blue shell or something. After getting hit by it, immediately you can press the mushroom button if you've got one to speed away quickly. So now even though the blue shell is kinda bullcrappy, you still manage to get away because you have an item stored obviously there, they can use it, boom. But now in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, let's say I get a hit by a King Boom Boo in first place and I've got a White Wisp waiting to be used. As soon as King Boom Boo hits me, I can't use the White Wisp straight away. I have to wait for my invincibility frames or whatever to recover, meaning that in that time, say it happens like near the end of the lap, right before the finish line, someone could just overtake me right there and then, and I just lose the race even though I had a White Wisp just ready to be used. And this problem is even worse in this game out of all racing games because the amount of times that you're going to get hit by an item in this game is unfathomable. So being able to recover quickly from getting hit would be a very nice feature to have like in every single other racing game, but no, not in this game apparently. Now on to the next point. A common complaint with Team Sonic Racing was that the game felt way too slow. And in my personal opinion, I feel the same way about Sonic Racing CrossWorlds as well. Boosting doesn't make you go any faster, rings barely affect your top speed, the cars themselves feel very slow. I really feel like this game could do with some sort of speed bump up or maybe some more difficulty options to make the game faster. Because right now the game feels like it's 100cc in Mario Kart and that's kind of okay, but not fast enough in my opinion. But if you don't want to increase the base car speed, then at the very least increase the boost speed because the boost in this game just does not feel that fast in the slightest. Like I've had moments in my gameplay where I'm boosting in a straight line and somebody just comes overtakes me and they're not even boosting at all. Like how does that work? It doesn't. I mean maybe it's because they have a higher ring count, but in my personal experience I feel like rings don't affect your speed all too much, and that's kind of a bit silly because a lot of the gadgets in this game revolve around the ring count, so if it barely increases your speed then what's even the point of having all those gadgets based around the rings? Doesn't make any sense. And if it does, well the amount of times that you're going to be getting hit in this game, you're not even going to have rings to speed up anyway, so again, what's the point? Now the next point can be subjective, but I feel like, come on, compared to other Sonic games, the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds soundtrack is very mediocre. I really do not like the whole quietiness going on here in this soundtrack. I mean, it's on the main menu theme, which is not that great, and then they start bringing in the quiet in every single final lap in the game, and then even some of the CrossWorlds have the choir in as well, like Dino Jungle. What happened to dinos all over? Now we just got it's just not the same, mate. And I think what hurts this soundtrack even more is that it doesn't matter what level you're playing, every single lap in this game will have different music. Because in the first lap, you've got the normal music, yeah, for whatever track you're playing, that's fine. But then in lap 2, you'll have the CrossWorlds changing the music again. And then in lap 3, you've got a different version of the song that was playing in lap 1, meaning that you got 3 different songs playing in a racetrack. And because most laps in this game are so short, you're barely going to remember any of the music because it doesn't even play for that long. So there are just a lot of factors that are just hurting this game's soundtrack, whether it's the soundtrack itself being mid or the music not even playing for that long either, meaning it's not memorable. And after coming from Team Sonic Racing, where in my opinion it's got a top 5 Sonic soundtrack, this really is such a downgrade from that game. But who knows, maybe they've just chosen the worst selection of tracks with the worst music at the soundtrack, and then when we see the full game later down the line, we'll see that, oh, never mind, the soundtrack wasn't mid, it was just all, just a little cherry picking basically. But to be honest with you, I don't believe that at all. I believe this soundtrack will be mid because, I mean, this selection of tracks right here, I think it's enough to gauge that, yeah, it's going to be mediocre. And since we mentioned it already, actually, yeah, a lot of the laps in this game feel very short. I think the one level that does have a decent lap length, I think it's going to be Wonder Museum for me. And then when it comes to the CrossWorlds, I think those ones are fine actually. Those are fine. But yeah, apart from that, every single other track in this game has very short laps, and some people might like that. But when you're getting hit by so many items in this game, having longer laps would allow you to recover and bring it back now. But obviously, because it's so short, there's no comebacks available here because you get no time to do it. But to be fair to this game, Wonder Museum does have a pretty decent lap length, so maybe the ones that are later down the line will have longer laps. We'll see. Now on to the next point. The races feel a bit quiet. Now that might sound like a weird thing to say because the races themselves aren't very quiet in the slightest because there are so many flipping sound effects playing. But what I mean by quiet in this game is that even though there are a multitude of sound effects playing in your ears and Sonic saying jamming, cool, great, jamming, 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 is that the commentator barely speaks in this game. Like, he doesn't say 3, 2, 1 at the start of the lap. He doesn't even say items. He only says the crossword that's going to be selected, and then he also says final lap, I think, and that's really it. Like, ever since the first game's goated commentator, we've just been going backwards ever since. They barely talk anymore. I think in Team Sonic Racing and in Transformed, the commentator at least spoke like during the race when you get like an item or an achievement in Transform, but in Racing CrossWorlds is basically not even there. And then even the characters in the races themselves, they're apparently supposed to be given like little jokes here and there to each other, like when they hit each other or something, but I haven't actually seen that at all, and I've seen some clips of it happening, but if it does happen, then why not just have it play a lot more often? I know some people in Team Sonic Racing didn't like it how much they talked there because it got quite annoying, but for people like me who actually did like it, why have you just reduced it so much now? If people don't want to hear those characters talking, just let them toggle it in the options menu or something, like play them more often but then have it be toggleable, because I don't like how personality-less these races feel because the characters aren't talking, there's no commentator, like all the life's been sucked out of it, and pairing it with the mediocre music, I feel like this game just doesn't have any soul compared to the other 3 games. And yes, that even includes Team Sonic Racing, because even the characters talking, the great music, even the Team Ultimates too, there's a bit of soul in Team Sonic Racing, but when you look at Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, there is none. So just having the characters speak or something like that, having a better commentator, would just add to that soul so much more. I mean, the first game was carried by its commentator, like let's not kid ourselves here. It was still a good game on its own, but that commentator took it from like a 7 out of 10 to like an 8 out of 10 or something. Now talking about the items in this game, for starters, I think they're placed way too much on the track. And this wouldn't really be an issue given that the items didn't respawn so quickly. Like, these items respawn so quickly, it's actually ridiculous, man. Which leads to so many people having items and it's hitting so many other people. Like, calm down with the items, man. Just stop placing them so many, and if you're gonna keep placing them even more, then increase the time it takes for the items to respawn. But then I'm saying that, but something kind of cancelled this out, which is how long it takes to select the item. In every single car racer that has items, when you collect an item, obviously you got the little scrolly thing or whatever to wait to select the item. But for whatever reason, in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, this takes flipping ages. I mean, in Mario Kart or whatever, I think it was in the first Sonic Racing game as well, but if you tap the item button again once you are selecting the item, it shows you it instantly, and you can't do that in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. And then in Team Sonic Racing, even though there was a bit of a wait there, it was still quite short. And then in Transformed, as soon as you get the item capsule, you have the item immediately. There's no waiting time at all. It's just snappy like that, boom, you got it. And when you're in first place in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds and you want to get some bit of defense for yourself because, you know, you're gonna get hit by an item eventually, it takes so damn long just to wait to get the item. Like, bro, just give me the item, mate. If someone's trying to shoot me from behind, just Please, let me defend myself, man. And then that's another thing as well. The item warning system. In pretty much every single racing game there is, when you're about to get hit by an item, there's usually some sort of indication on the screen somewhere to show that, oh, you're getting hit from this side, or maybe that side, or this is how close it is, so better get ready to attack. And while this is in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, there is a lot of issues with it compared to other racing games. For starters, with there being so much going on the screen in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, this visual marker is not noticeable in the slightest. I mean, it's so small, it's red which blends into like everything else happening in the game, like you should be able to notice this way more. And then even the sound design of this warning isn't good enough either, because once again, there are so many sound effects in this game that once you hear that warning sound, it kind of just blends in with everything else. Either make that warning sound louder than everything else, or just lower the volume of everything else to hear the warning sound better. And then the next issue with this warning sign thing is that, why is it getting covered by the heads-up display? It should be on top of the heads-up display because I'm trying to see where I'm trying to get hit. And if it gets covered by the heads-up display, I can barely notice it again. And then another nitpick with this thing is that it doesn't show which item is going to hit you. I'm going to say it again. In pretty much every single other racing game, when the warning icon appears on screen that you're going to get hit by something, it shows what you're going to get hit by, but not in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. And then my final nitpick with this item warning thing is that I don't think there's a good enough distinction between when an item is coming for you and then when it's about to hit you, because the warning sign does change, but once again, it's just not noticeable enough. The color doesn't change, it barely increases in size, like, come on man. They're really making it very annoying with this item system in this game, because for starters, you get hit by so many things, and then two, you can barely see when and how you're gonna get hit by. Like, it's stupid, man. But anyways, next up we have to complain about the 2D Chow that are on the, you know, the loading screen here, and then even in the racing tracks themselves. Like, they look awful, mate. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, I get it. You don't want to have like fully 3D Chow here because it might tank the performance of the game, but why have them run at 3 FPS? Like, this thing is supposed to be running on a PS5, so why are the Chow running at a smaller FPS number than the number that's in PS5? It doesn't make any sense. And I know exactly why they like this as well. It's because they've used the same exact Chow texture from Team Sonic Racing. It looked bad there, and it looks even worse here now that we've got updated graphics from Team Sonic Racing back in 2019. So either redo it to make it run at a high FPS and even increase the brightness on them, or just make them 3D. Because when you sat there in the lobby just waiting for the game to start, and all you can see is yourself, other people, and those terrible looking Chow, it just comes off as a bit cheap. And what also looks a bit cheap is some of the background NPCs on the side of these racetracks. Some of them are all good and dandy, like, yeah, this guy over here, he looks fine. Yeah, that person here, yes, fine, but what about you, mate? What's wrong with you? See, essentially, just make sure you animate all these NPCs here. I know it's a closed beta, so you might have forgot to do it, so I'm not really complaining here, just to make sure you fix it for the next one. Right, going back to the items in this game, you can't shake off incoming items by either dodging them or being fast enough, just like in Transformed. And I definitely think that this should be a feature because, I mean, we're boosting away, right? Why can't we just boost away? And if somebody else is in front of us, let's try dodge the item so it swerves into the other person instead. Because for the 1000th time, with the amount of times that you're going to be getting hit in this game, having somewhere to avoid it all with skill would be quite nice. And then this next thing is, when hitting somebody with your own item, there's a little pop-up that shows like, yeah, you've hit someone, you've hit this person with this specific item, but why does this not work or vice versa? Like, why can't I see who's hit me? Like, bro, why are you hiding? Who are you running from, mate? Come back, I just want to talk. You hit me first, mate? Oh, I've seen your name there. Oh, let me hit you back. Just adding a bit of a revenge story in this game I think would be quite funny. Like, just let me see who's hit me, man. I want to hit him back, please. And now for the next thing is that there's no all-star move in this game. And I know it wasn't in Team Sonic Racing either, but at least in Team Sonic Racing, they had the Team Ultimates in there. But in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, there's no Team Ultimates, there's no all-star moves, there's no nothing. And it's once again going back to that point of the game feeling soulless. It has nothing to its name except for the crossworld mechanic. Every character in the other 3 racing games felt different to each other, whether that being a new all-star move or even brand new music when using the Team Ultimate. But now the only thing making the characters feel different in this game is, well, nothing. And I know for a fact that they're not going to put in any all-star moves here or any Team Ultimates in this game because, well, that's going to be something fundamental to add into the game, but yeah, it's just a shame, really. And now then, to end off my little criticisms of this game, I want to go ahead and talk about some of the actual items in this game in detail, because some of them, while they have a good idea, they're a bit flawed in some way. Starting off with the laser one. While yes, this actually is a good idea, I like how it's bounce from player to player, that's a pretty cool idea, but annoyingly, after you finish using it, you lose all speed that you've had before. So if they could just tweak that so after you come out of the laser form, you don't lose all speed that you just had, then that would be quite nice. And then with the drill, for some reason, even the same thing with the monster truck is that it feels way too slow. why are all the catch-up items in this game so slow? You're not even going to catch up at all, especially with how short the racetracks are as well. And then just like the monster truck as well, I feel like both the drill and the monster truck don't last nearly as long as they should do in this game. Because most of the time they last for like 5 seconds and that's about it, but then on a very, very rare occasion, it'll just suddenly just start lasting like 15 seconds out of nowhere. It's like, bro, where have you been all my life? What's going on here? So it's got to be either one or the other. Do you make it short but make it fast, or do you make it a long duration but make it slow? Pick one or the other. You can't have both, mate. And I'll move you on to Oma Chow. I feel like it's pretty much just useless, mate. Just like the games, in the racing game as well, he's useless, mate. Sorry, Omochao. Get back in a race car, mate. Why have they taken you out of it? I don't know, actually. Omochao's only purpose is to just give you rings when you already have an item in the game which gives you rings. That being the 100 rings. So what's the point of Omochao here? I don't know. Because the description for what Omochao is actually supposed to do is lead you a trail of rings for you to follow to actually grab the rings, but he just gives you them. There's no trail at all. He just gives you them, so what's even the point? And then the next item is the worst one in the game, which is the Slicer Ninja Star thing. This is awful. What this item does is it cuts your car in half for starters, which means you slow down to a crawl, and then it also deletes all items that you're currently holding, which is ridiculous to me, because this item is one of the most common items you can get in the game, I feel. You'll be getting hit by this item left, right, and center, and when you're trying to survive in first position, because God knows what can happen to you in this game, getting hit by a slice that you can't avoid and getting rid of all your items to try and recover from it is just flipping annoying. So please, dear God, I hate the getting rid of the items mechanic. Just get rid of it, mate. But then with the bomb item, I don't like how it rolls instead of being thrown like in Mario Kart and in Team Sonic Racing. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And then with the vector goo, I mean the slime item, why is it removing our items again? Blocking our vision is enough, man. Stop taking our items away. My God, it's annoying. And then the weight item, it drops the weight on the people in first and second position, which is silly because we've already got King Boom Boo to attack the person in first position, so this item is basically redundant. But of course, you have to make it even more annoying because once again, it removes your items. Can all these stupid things in this game stop taking away all my items, please? And then what makes it even worse is that when you're flattened, you can't turn your car and you're slowing down as well. So if you're driving off a cliff while being slowed down and you can't turn, you're dead. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Either decide which one do you want, lock our controls or slow us down. Don't do both because that's way too OP, mate. And then with the Dark Chow item, he really does not seem like a threat when you use him, because if you have no items, he'll just give you some. Sometimes at least anyways. So why not just have him steal items rather than just give it to other players? That's just, again, a stupid idea. Were they even thinking with this one? I don't even know, man. And then with the shield item, I think it's a bit too uncommon, really. This game really does not like to have defense items given to you for some reason. Like, there's so much attack in this game, but no defense. And that is a real issue with the amount of attacks that you're gonna get hit by in this game. And then with how OP those attacks even are, so please, make the shields more common. And then the spiked iron ball, I think it's a bit weird how you throw it like a banana or a bomb in Mario Kart instead of just like rolling it forward. I really do think that the bomb rolling and the spiked iron ball throwing should be switched around so you throw the bomb and roll the spiked iron ball. But anyways, my actual point with this one here is, why can't you hold the spiked iron ball behind you as defense? Again, another issue with this game not allowing you to defend yourself. I mean, I guess technically you can just throw it behind you if you get hit by an item, but that isn't the same. What if I want defense while I'm trying to take a corner? I can't defend myself because if I drop the item, it won't go in a straight line behind me. So deciding that simple change right there would do wonders. And then the final item that I think has an issue in this game is the magnet, in that I think it's a bit unnecessary, really. We have way more than enough attack items in this game, and the magnet of all the ones here feels like the most pointless one, so honestly, get it gone, mate. Get rid of it. But yeah, with that is all my negativos with Sonic Racing CrossWorlds Beta Uno. So yeah, while there are a lot of them that I've just mentioned here, they're not really all of them, at least anyways, that hard to fix. Like, it's just a couple numbers tweaks maybe in the code or something, and boom, you're golden. But now talking about the positives for this game, starting off with the visuals. Apart from those 2D chow there, it's a nice looking game, I must admit. It's a very nice looking game. Unreal Engine 5 is doing its job here, and especially with that bloody waterman, because water palaces water, ooh, that looks very nice there. And E-Stadium especially, man, seeing that in the trailer transition from CGI to gameplay, it's basically seamless because E-Stadium itself looks basically as good as a CGI nearly. Like, the game actually looks like it's CGI quality, all except for the models in this game because, well, we've been stuck for these for God knows how long. But then next up is the track design. I think it's pretty decent in this game. A lot of sharp turns here and there, unlike Team Sonic Racing. Plenty of areas to mess up, and some pretty decent shortcuts, and even just using the boost in like an area to go over the grass or something. Pretty satisfying in this game, I must admit. If the game was just a bit more faster though, it would make this game a whole lot more fun with the track design, so please increase that speed and boom. it's even better. And then the next thing is Wonder Museum. Look, everything about Wonder Museum is so good. The visuals, the track design, even the music is actually pretty good for Wonder Museum. It's the one memorable song in the entire game for me. And even the final lap version as well, because the quiet actually fits here because it's a museum, so kind of adds to the whole wonder part of the Wonder Museum here. And then now the gadget system, I think is actually pretty good. I like all the different abilities that you can get, like the bumping into people to get a speed boost. If the speed boost is a bit faster, I would love this even more. But yeah, in general, love the gadget system here. It's very good, very good. I like the strategy involved with it too, like, oh, this one takes up 2 slots and then this one takes up 3, so I got to combine this one and that one and all that stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I like the gadget system. But then even the customization in this game is very good. I've got really no critiques of it really. And then the one item that I actually want to give credit to is the green rocket punch, because it's supposed to be emulating a green shell from Mario Kart where it does not actually lock onto a player. Except it kind of does, because you can actually lock onto a player before throwing it, so it'll actually go ahead and target them. I think that's actually a really cool feature right there. And then I think in Ocean View and East Stadium, there are actually some ring portal shortcuts that you can take that send you further on in the track to get a brand new item or whatever. And yeah, pretty cool right there. I like that. I want to see more of that in the game. And then on the topic of rings, entering and leaving a CrossWorlds in this game is so damn smooth. There's no loading time, no nothing. You just straight in and out and that's it. And even though there have been a couple of glitches here and there where people get locked out of a CrossWorld or they keep spawning and dying or whatever, but it's a closed beta, so there are bound to be glitches here. But yeah, in general though, when it works, it's so damn smooth. I just really want to see how it works on the Switch though. Does it even work on the Switch? That's what I want to know. And then I know I mentioned it earlier how I didn't like how it replaced the drift, but even on its own though, jumping on water is a really cool feature. I almost kind of wish you could do that as a car, even though it wouldn't make any sense, but it's still a very nice feature to have, man. Very good. And then going back to the CrossWorlds in this game, there is a chance that you can activate Frenzy mode, which basically makes the CrossWorld even more crazy by chucking boost pads everywhere, and then there's even a version where you can actually just charge up your drift so quickly up to level 4. Like, it just makes them even more hectic in a hectic game already, and it's kind of the hectic that I can actually get down with. So yeah, I like that frenzy mode feature a lot. It's pretty good. And then with the animation quality in this game, it's actually again pretty nice. I like how a lot of the characters pose actually references to like existing Sonic art or whatever, like especially Shadows right here. Cool reference right there. And then last but not least, Unleash. 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 Shadow says unleash. 10 out of 10 game. Anyways, yeah, that about does it for today's video then. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds Beta Uno. And yeah, even though a lot here was more negative than positive, it doesn't really matter though, does it? The whole point of a closed beta for a game is to get feedback from the players who've played it, so that's what I'm doing right now, sharing my feedback to the developers. So for all the inevitable comments saying, Unleash, stop complaining, oh, you're such a hater. No, I'm doing my job as a person who's played the beta, so shut up mate, you're the idiot here, haha. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Have you played the beta or not? And if you did you enjoy it? Let me know down below. Love to see what you guys have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, especially that last one. Don't forget to become Unleashed by pressing that join button down below. And remember, it's not necessary. And I will see you all next time. Peace.